saying I don't love the word she shed, but it does describe perfectly the space I have. What I love to call it is my being space. When COVID hit, it became difficult for me that I didn't have a space of my own in the house. I noticed my stress up and getting irritable easily. I had a lot going on, just like everyone else at the beginning of COVID. I could do art in the common room, or I could decorate my bedroom, but none of the space was completely mine. We were all sheltered in place at that time. So for work, depending on others' needs in the house, I was either bouncing from my daughter's bedroom, our bedroom, or my husband's office. And I just didn't feel like I was anchored, like I had roots. I was just kind of bouncing around. Then my husband suggested we splurge and turn the storage shed in the backyard into my office art studio. My heart sang, yes, a she shed. I'm an artist, and I've always daydreamed of having an art studio in my backyard since I was a little girl. I drew pictures exactly the way I wanted it. The only thing I had to scrap was a Dutch door. I went a little wild. So it's an 8-foot by 12-foot space. I have windows in just the right spot for the best natural light to come in. And I have shelves lining one tiny wall and a wall-to-wall desk on the other side with just enough room to move in the middle. Something that is so precious to me is that it is decorated just how I want. And when I put something down, it stays there, which is huge when you're living with a 2- and a 5-year-old. My mom and my dad have passed, so it's also a place that I keep special artifacts from them. And I also have an altar honoring my spiritual practice. I started using this space as my art and morning meditation space. I slowly noticed I was becoming a bit rigid in my art practice. An artistic spiritual friend challenged me about my art practice in the studio space. I'm an expressive arts therapist, and I wholeheartedly believe in the value of using multiple ways of creativity. So dance, music, storytelling, visual art, singing. It's all really important to me to whole being wellness. So what I began doing is using my she shed as a whole being space. I try to get up about an hour before my girls, go out to the shed, meditate, write a gratitude list, and then just follow myself. Giving myself just time to be me. Either dance, yoga, journal, write a story, paint, or draw. The important thing that feels lovely to my being is that I allow one thing to flow to another. For example, I'll dance like no one's watching, and hopefully no one is. And then I'll move into a painting. And to do it with imperfection, to practice just being, not to be an artist or a mother or a therapist or a wife or a friend, but just to be, to practice being human, doing human things, to be alone, getting to know myself. I do this imperfectly. Sometimes, a lot of times recently, I have to choose between sleep and my she shed. Having alone time to pursue our creativity is a value that my husband and I both hold highly. We make sure that every weekend we both get one morning to be able to be alone to pursue our creativity. One of the best gifts my husband has ever given me, besides my children, of course, is the idea of building a she shed and making sure I have time to use it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Roy, as as a person to whom nature has spoken deeply, Roy has his own place in which he has found wisdom.
I am a nature mystic, not a mystic in any profound or sacred way, but an ordinary soul finding solace in the natural world. It's even a psychological term for my mystical actions in nature. Japanese scientists call it forest bathing or Shinrin Yoku. They discovered that spending about 30 minutes roaming among cypress and pine restores serenity and dampens down the fight or flight alarm stress system, thereby decreasing heart rate, blood pressure, and cortisol. But I get ahead of myself. My experience in nature, my pilgrimage through nature, mirrors the development of my life, and it's not just merely an aid for relaxing. I grew up in Northwest Pennsylvania in the rural areas just bordering the city where my dad worked. As a kid, I'd wander into the woods, nestle myself under an oak next to a little stream, and merge with the sky. I even had a term for that place. I called it the Lost Woods. Later in college, I learned a little bit about Buddhism, particularly the Theravada branch. And every time I would go for a short walk in the woods, I would imagine that the hills of the east, peppered with beautiful flowers and sumac, reflected South Asian ideas of dharma, peacefulness, and quietude. That tranquil sense of nature stayed with me for most of my life until I moved up here to Humboldt 6 years ago. The rocky precipices and storming, howling waves of the Trinidad coast at spots like Luffenhof Beach shifted my fascination with nature to the stories of the fierce Hindu goddesses like Kali and Durga and Shakti energy. Inside, my attention moved from the absorbing beauty of the East Coast hills to the sublime and awesome roar of the West. And then a year ago, after some major personal transformations, I discovered the Mad River Bluffs in McKinleyville. Now I saunter through Sitka spruce forests nearly every morning. Same path, the same stations, where I offer meditations for healing and put out thoughts of loving kindness for even those I might be frustrated with or angry at. It was, in a way, a kind of return to the Buddhist perspective, now more Tibetan, and engaging in the Bodhisattva vow, lifting up the suffering of others before mine. I learned that research on loving kindness meditation found that it turned on the empathy centers of the brain and was as effective for instilling tranquility in oneself through kind thoughts toward others as the more self-centered meditations of my earlier life. So yes, the forest is a place of mine own, but now a place for cultivating awareness of others without judgment, the discovery of the wisdom of love.
Thank you, Roy. As many of you know, Sandy's current musical love is the ukulele. Listen to how The music soothes her spirit.
Hello. When I heard the theme of today's service, two things came to mind for me personally. And one was, as Berti mentioned, my music bubble. Whenever I'm learning a new song or working on a new technique on my ukulele or writing out lyric sheets, I get into this zone, this bubble of focus, and the real world kind of melts away, and it's my happy place. I'm doing music. I just it is a place of my own in that sense. And the second one I thought of in years before, in the before times. Remember those? If I was, after a long, hard day at work, very demanding, I'd get in my car and drive home. And I was going home, and home was my sanctuary, where I was away from work. It was just a place that I lived my life, and it felt very much that place of my own, my sanctuary. But for many people and me in the last year and a half, home has also become my workplace. And it took me a while, but I had to realize that I was never coming home. I was just always at work. Even if I was done with my job work, I would immediately go to look at my emails, and you know how many rabbit holes that takes you down. And I don't want that to be my place of my own. And so I've started to learn to recognize, to have to consciously say, it's time to stop work. It's time to go home. And it's like my mantra at the end of my workday: go home. And I just have to stop what I'm doing, walk away from my computer. I mean, even though I'm still in my office/bedroom, I mentally go to another place. So home becomes a state of mind. And then I realized, hey, I can use that kind of wherever, whenever I am. Time to go home. Go home. So I'm going to sing for you a song called Home. And it's a song that I recently learned on ukulele, and by Karla, Bonoff. That brings this to mind. Driving at night, the headlights were bright, but we'd been up many an hour. And all through my brain came the refrain of home, and it's warm and fire. And home sings me of sweet things. My life there has its own wings, fly over the mountain. Though I'm standing still, people I've seen, they come in between the cities and their tiring lives. Inside they know the trains, they come and go, and inside they know the struggle will soon be a fight. lights were bright, but soon the sun came through the trees. Around the next bend, the flowers they send, the sweet scent of home, the breeze. And home sings me of sweet things. My life there has its own wings. Fly over the mountain, though I'm standing still. Fly over the mountain, though I'm standing still.
Thank you, Sandy, for reminding us that we must come home to ourselves. Years ago, I learned a technique to create my own virtual space. I'd like to share that with you now. The idea is to visualize a place in which you feel free to simply be. A place that you can move around in and interact with the environment. A place to which you go alone. We will also provide a way for you to instantly go there in your mind. This is called an anchor. I think you've all had the experience of perhaps going into a cathedral and smelling the incense, and that takes you to a specific place, or hearing a song that takes you to a place or a memory. So an anchor is a way to train yourself that when you do a specific motion, your mind goes to that specific place. And it does take several repetitions over time to set a real solid anchor. You can use any distinct motions that you do not normally use to set an anchor. The motion that I use is this. Both fingers together like that. That's what I use. So I'd like each wave my hands around and knock the mics. Take a minute to decide on what anchor will work for you. Make sure it's distinct. Has everyone chosen something? Good. Now I invite you to sit comfortably. Gently close your eyes. Breathe deeply and regularly. Visualize a space that speaks to you. It can be a place of your memory or an imaginary place. It is a place that you feel comfortable being alone. And nod your head when you have visualized such a place. Go to that place in your mind. Are you sitting, standing, dancing? What? Look around you. What do you see? Turn around. What's over there? If you're curious, go look. What does the air feel like? The temperature, air movements. Sounds do you? The smells. Really be in this place with all of your senses. Feel the ground if there is ground. Get your spot firmly in your mind and repeat the anchor motion. Visualize, anchor, and repeat. Over the next few days, try to return to your spot several times, pairing I invite you, as you listen to the music, to get up and move around and stretch and move to the music and let your body sway. She's running to cue it up. Okay, and if you're way away from people and fully masked, as you learn the chorus, you can hum or sing it along with it.
Simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, make your life like a gift that's given, wrapped in love, wrapped in light, join in, dance delighted, and hear the song deep within. Simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, let it move throughout your body like the mighty trees in the gentle wind. Let your spirit dance. Lie down your burdens and fill your heart with the joyous hymn. Simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift. Tis the season of solstice light, of all dear friends, all gathered near. Love warms the hearts of those around us as we all are part of the one. Simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, simple gifts, simply given, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift, oh, the dance of joy. Life's simple gift.
And this space is a simple gift. And you and your presence and the world around us and the smiles on everybody's face. Thank you for this simple gift. And thank you for sharing. And may your private spots be beautiful and wondrous and nurturing for you. Let us go forth into the world. So.